In this video, we're going to go ahead and talk about Aaron Judge. Now, coming into the season, he was only a 278 lifetime hitter in the minors. So when he got off to such a huge start, I like I said with my Trey Mancini video, I like to be a little conservative with the way I do my edits and everything like that. So I wanted to see a lot of data on him, and even what we saw coming out of the All-Star break was he was hitting about 330. Now he's down to 300, so he kind of hit the wall a little bit, but we have a lot of data here, so we can go ahead and do a little bit with his attributes here. So like I said, he's hitting 300, 34 home runs. This is on August 2nd when I'm shooting this video, and I see that if I go ahead and go to ESPN.com, like I mentioned on my other videos, take a look at his splits. 307 hitter versus righties, 267 versus lefties. So in terms of contact, when I have a hitter that's 300-ish, I'll go ahead and put him at about 80. Since he's still new, I know he's proven a lot over the season, but again, be conservative, kind of leave his contact versus righties at about 80. Lefties, 267. What I would do is a 275 hitter, I'd have him about 70. A 250 hitter, I'd have him about 60. So he'd be somewhere in between. So we'll kind of leave him in the low 60s. Now, power-wise, just on a kind of like a prorated at-bat basis, if you look at his home runs, 27 homers and 293 ABs, or approximately 300 ABs versus righties. Lefties, 7 home runs and 75 ABs. If you do the math, that ratio is about the same. So over the course of a season, for instance, 600 ABs, he'd be on pace to hit 54 homers versus righties and lefties if he continued with his current pace. So what I do is if a guy is on pace to hit over 40 homers versus either a righty or lefty, I'd put his power at 90. He's well above that, but I'm going to leave him at 90 just to give it some more time and kind of see how the rest of the season plays out. These ratings can be bumped up. Say we get a month from now and he's still on that same pace, you can give him another little bump. Here, one other thing I wanted to look at was what I talked about in other videos was discipline. When I look at on-base percentage, I equate that to discipline. It's not always accurate, but in his case, on-base percentage well over 400. And I keep the spread, like I said, that the spread between average and on-base percentage, in his case, 300 hitter, about 420 on base. So he's the spread's about 120 points there. So I'll go ahead and bump him up to 90. Usually I kind of put the numbers equal. It's not always the most accurate way to do things, but in the game I notice it helps with patience and how they take walks and things like that. You also see here he's got 6 steals, so try to project things out over the course of a season, and again, try to be a little bit more friendly with the speed, the stealing tendency, the running ability, because if you've gone through the dynasty owner mode, you notice they don't steal a lot. So I really have to bump up the stealing tendency and the base running ability and everything like that to go ahead and get them to go ahead and steal some bases. So everything else looks good here. Aaron Judge, even though he is new though, I mean, he really has broke on the scene, so I went ahead and gave him a 5 in terms of career potential. That can be adjusted up or I should say down over time. But one other thing I did want to take a look at with him in particular was, if you look at ESPN.com, you look at the splits, you can go to the hot zones. And so if we go here to see him versus right-handed pitching, you can go ahead and make some edits. Looks like this is a cold zone here, and all this information's here online. You don't always have to follow it exactly, but for a lot of hitters, I like to go ahead and at least take a look and have an idea. I usually don't like to fill up the whole box myself, but in terms of him hitting now versus lefties, it looks like his lower quadrant is his hot zone here versus lefties, and he's only really cold up in the upper corner here. So go ahead and edit that here. Excuse me. All right, so that's Aaron Judge. Took a little bit longer than I expected, but there it is. If you guys have any players in particular that you want to see that I haven't already done, go ahead and shoot me a message on YouTube and let me know. All right, thanks for watching. And make sure to check out my other videos. I'll have several up for several players that are either kind of making a splash or guys that are performing well above their minor league or kind of career expectations. All right, take care, guys.